you have a swell time listening to all of the drive-by tunes here on your number one radio experience. My name is Cassandra Yunumbe. Of course, you're wondering why you're hearing my voice. Don't worry. Sometimes these things happen like that, and it just talks about how life is very unpredictable. And talking about unpredictability, it's the rainy season and anything can happen, isn't it? Because as the rains are here, even though some people would say that the rains are trying to wind out and all of that, but there is always this big question where people asking what will happen to their solar systems or their solar panels when the rain starts or when rains are coming and all of that. We get some of these questions. Now the thing there is need for you to be aware, because a wise man once said information is power, information is security, and you need to know what really works around your solar system. So today here on Eagles FM, we shall be breaking this down with very practical insights that you can use, especially as an owner of the solar system, or let's say if you're intending to diversify your your energy system to solar, to using solar, then this program is definitely for you. And now talking about this program, it's brought to you by Zango Power. We are about to show you how your solar investment can shine even when the skies do not. And joining me in today from Zango Power is engineer Res Ozuagbala. I hope I got the name correctly.
I think you tried.
Yes. Okay. So, good evening, sir, and thank you so much for joining us here this evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. So, you might just want to tell me, because there's no harm in accent. So, it's Engineer Resk Uzo Agbala.
It's actually Engineer Rex Uzo Agbala.
Uzo Agbala. Okay, Uzo Agbala. Rex Uzo Agbala. Okay. All right. So let's talk a bit about your company, Zango Power, and then we go into today's episode of what the people should know as regards solar panel efficiency and how it gets to work for them even in the rains.
Yeah, actually, Zango Power is a leading company when it comes to solar solutions in the country, Nigeria as a whole. When it comes to provision of solar solutions in terms of your energy needs, Zango Power stands out. And we're not just about providing solar solutions to your facility or to your system. What we actually try to do is to provide enough education and awareness as to how solar systems should be used, and give you certain guidance for free and enable you to be able to have the best and utilize the best that you can for your solar systems.
Okay, so Power is not just selling this to you, it is also giving you information.
Exactly.
Now, remember, I said that information is power, information is security. So, for you making use of this, you need to know what exactly this is about. Okay, so now let's move to the conversation for today. The very big question that we get people asking, that does the solar system work? And please, when I talk about the solar system, I'm not talking about that one you were taught in school and all of that. I'm talking about the one that concerns energy diversification as today is concerned. So when you talk about this, how efficient is it during the rainy season? Does the rainy season affect the solar panel efficiency?
Yes, actually, I want to answer this question in such a way that everybody will be able to get it from the fundamentals. Now, when it comes to solar systems working during the rainy season, yes, solar systems do work during the rainy season.
Okay.
But there are certain considerations and certain things to take note of. For example, when you're installing solar systems and you consider only your energy yield during the dry season, you might have some problems when it comes to the rainy season. Why? Because naturally, the sun is naturally less during the rainy season and more during the dry season. We're using Nigerian weather systems, for example.
Okay.
So when it comes to the rainy season, sometimes you don't even see the sun from morning to night in a whole day. But the weather might just be slightly bright, and sometimes it might even rain all day. This is where we begin to talk about days of autonomy. So in the design of systems, of solar systems, you consider all that, knowing that sometimes for a whole day you may not even see the sun. So what we do is the major consideration when it comes to harnessing energy for the solar system is the solar panels. Now you have to consider the solar panels and then the battery systems that stores the energy. Because now if we're to break it down, the vital components when it comes to a domestic solar system that you need to be using in your office, in your apartment, you find out that the actual component that absorbs the energy from the sun is the solar panels.
Okay.
And then this energy that is absorbed from the sun, it's available for use to your appliances through the inverter. And then some part of this energy is stored in the batteries. What happens is during the day when the sun, you absorb all the energy as much as you can, use the one that you're going to use, and store the rest in the batteries.
Okay.
So when this process continues for a complete cycle for a whole day, the remaining energy you have, you use them at night. The next day, the same cycle continues. Now, what happens during the rainy season is that the energy you are able to absorb from the sun to be able to use and to store in your batteries is now less. So what it means is that you may not even have enough energy saved during the day. So the mathematical implication is this. When we do calculation, for example, to find out that you're going to be needing X amount of energy to supply both your appliances and to store in your battery for a day, and we find out that is a particular value of X, for example, what we now do is we now do this consideration to say, what if in the case when there's no much sun, little or no sun, this value of X may not be satisfied with what you're getting from the sun. Okay. So what do? We either double or triple the capacity of your solar panels, which is the component that absorbs the energy from the sun. And what happens is that during the time when there is no sun, little or no sun, it will still be able to absorb reasonable amount of energy to be able to use, for you to use and to be able to store in the batteries. So at the end of the day, the batteries will still store the much you can store to help you to be able to run energy maybe 24 hours depending on your use case.
Okay, depending on your use case. So what you're basically saying is that if this was a yes or no situation, it would be a yes for you.
Yes.
But with the conditions that there are certain things that need to be done,
Exactly.
like you have mentioned. Now, moving to the things that need to be done, what do you think are the best practices for maintaining solar panels during the rainy seasons?
Okay, basically, when it comes to maintaining the solar panels during the rainy season, as against when it's during the dry season, you have to really wash the panels. For the rainy season, it's
Okay, like as they're already hooked up there, you need to wash them.
yes, you need to wash
So
them.
do you need to bring them down to wash, or you just
No,
have
you
to wash
don't-
on the
you
rooftop?
don't really need to do that because,
Okay.
like during the rainy season, the only challenge you might have is that if there are any objects, flying papers or leaves that are covering the panels for any reason, you need to actually bring those down, remove them, just clear them. But in terms of like dust, you don't really have much of dust during the rainy season.
course.
Yes, for the panels. And the only major part for the rainy season in terms of making sure you don't have any challenges is your cabling, making sure that there are no open parts of the cable where water can seep in, because that's usually ensured during the wiring process from the first installation.
Okay.
If you are sure that all the connections are properly sealed and there's no entrance for water, your system should really be okay. And then in addition, structurally, you should make sure that because of the winds that you might have and ability of storms during the period, you actually make sure, especially during the installation, that all the solar panels are firmly fitted to wherever position you are, whether on the roof or on the solar carport or wherever they might be mounted.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Engineer Zoagbala. Okay. Now, in case you just tuned in, this is Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, and you are getting information, insights that ordinarily would not come to you, but trust us here on Eagles FM to always bring to you. And this is proudly powered by Zango Power. Okay. Now, moving to the next part of the conversation. Can solar panels withstand heavy rainfall? I know you've said that it's effective during the rainy season, but there is rain and there is rain.
Yeah.
So in the case that there is heavy rainfall, or let's even say that the winds are really, really like strong, and this is consistent for days, because sometimes there are times when the rain will just consistently fall with heavy winds, and storms will be heavy for
Yeah.
7 days or even 5, if I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Will this still work? Can the solar panels withstand all of this?
Yes, actually, it can. And basically, when it comes to withstanding like heavy rains and stuff during the rainy season, solar panels can really do that without any problem. The only
Okay.
challenge you might have during the heavy rains is that if at the time of these heavy rains the weather is actually dark when there is no sign of sun, the energy absorption can be very, very low at that point.
Okay.
And if the weather is still bright, even when it's raining, depending on the capacity of panels that you have, you could still have a very reasonable amount of energy to be able to power at least basic appliances, depending on your use case. So when it comes to like really heavy rains, the only concern you might have at that point majorly is the structural strength of the installation. And if that is properly done, you really don't have worries. The only thing is the capacity also is what you consider at that point. If the capacity is reasonable, then you're fine. You can actually stay with your solar system working perfectly even with the rains, and you have enough energy, you have enough storage. It will cover you during the rains and then even till after the rains.
Okay, so everything kind of boils down to the
The
installation.
installation and then
How
the
it is
capacity
installed.
of what
Okay,
you're
the
installing.
oh, the capacity.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's break it down. Permit me to let's break it the capacity down. What capacity would work in the case of heavy storm and all of that, and since it's
Okay.
within your field and all of that.
Okay, when you want to break it down to the capacity, for example, you have to also consider the use case. That's why I'm always mentioning the use case,
Okay.
because use case will differ from person to person depending on what you actually need. For instance, if you're installing maybe something that could run, let's say, basic appliances, let's take maybe a three-bedroom apartment, for example. You have some lighting points and refrigerators, electronics, and all that put together. Let's say, assuming you are running a system below 5 kVA, less than 5 kVA, and then your steady load might be maybe in the range of maybe 2 or 3 kVA, for example. At that point, your solar panels that you have on the roof, the capacity will definitely, for a good season, you should be talking of something between the range of 12 to 18 kilowatts of solar panels.
Okay.
With about 12 to 18 kilowatts of solar panels at this rate of consumption, steady load of maybe 2 to 3 kVA, I think you'll be quite very comfortable, because at that point, with the little weather, in fact, as early as 7 in the morning, when there is no even sun, it's just that the weather is bright, you start absorbing some energy. And even in the evening, late in the evening, at even up to 5:30, 6, that's mid weather before it gets dark, you will still be getting some energy. And then your battery storage is where all the energy would have been dumped, because at night when there is no sun completely, that is where your energy will now be coming from.
Okay, the energy will now be coming from where it has been stored.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. You can also be a part of this conversation. You can call us on 090-7353-0044 or 090-9705-4450 to be a part of the show this evening. Remember, we are trying to talk about if your solar panel or your solar energy can work for you during the rainy season. Remember, the rains are still here, and some people are afraid to even install their panels or even adapt to this or adopt it. They're saying that, okay, is it possible? It's not possible, and all of that. All of the misconceptions are being cleared here, all thanks to Zango Power. Now, so let's move to the other point of it. Sometimes people get to ask how they can optimize their solar panel system to work well for them, both when the weather is sunny or if it's raining. So how can this optimization work?
Okay, when it comes to optimizing the way your solar panel works, especially irrespective of the weather, the season, or whatever it is, the first is that you look at the inclination of your solar panels.
Okay.
This is usually a consideration during the installation. For some very steep roof, you are actually disadvantaged if your angle is very much off the line of propagation of the sun, because there's a particular path that the sun takes when the sun rises from the east and sets in the west. So depending on the location you are on the surface of the earth, like we are close to the equator here in Nigeria, so the sun is always like at the middle of the sky by 12 noon.
Sure.
So it makes it easy. The flatter your panel, the more absorption you have. But you find out that there's this kind of housing structure where some roofs are so steep, the tall roof that
Okay, the one they do that is like
yes, that's like one kind of cap that is bigger than the house. That kind of roof is usually not a good one for
but
solar systems.
a lot of people are beginning to adapt to the one that is more flattered.
Thank
these days,
you.
but
That's the
not a lot
hidden
of
roof. Thank you. The hidden roof is
you are more
best for solar
an
panels.
advantage for your panel to work
Thank you.
effectively.
In fact, the hidden roof, as far as Nigeria environment is concerned, the hidden roof is best for solar panels.
Because of our location with the sun. And
Exactly,
everything.
because of our location, we are close to the equator, so the sun is at mid-sky during the noon. So at that point, you have the highest energy yield. So that kind of roof optimizes your solar panel because of the positioning. But the other steep roof, because of the angle, most of the energy you will be losing out because it's not actually targeting the surface of the panel. In fact, to explain it better, the solar panel it's at its best when it is perpendicular to the sun.
Okay.
What it means being perpendicular is when the sun is striking at direct facing the solar panel. That's when you have the highest energy. Then that means at sunrise the energy is gradually increasing. At noon it's max, and then it starts decreasing towards the evening. So but this whole trajectory has to be done in such a way that at peak your solar panel is at its best. So that's one of the ways to optimize your solar panels during this thing. Secondly, your cabling, your wiring, your connections is actually another major deal. A lot of people lose energy because of the wiring system they adopted for their solar panels. That's why you can see some solar systems, in spite of the number of panels they have, the energy absorbed is quite less, because sometimes during the wiring everything has been messed up. Some people use lower gauge wirings, and sometimes their consideration in terms of series and parallel combinations makes it a little bit difficult for you to have the best from the system, because there are certain considerations that you must be able to make when wiring these systems to be able to get the best. If you wire them correctly using the best wire gauge and using the best configuration in terms of series and parallel combination, you should be able to get very high amount of yield and reasonable energy to be able to serve your system. And also avoid shadows. If you are in areas where you have tall trees close to your solar panels, it's either you eliminate the trees or you put your panel in such a way that the shadows from the trees will not affect the yield, because shadows does affect the solar panel yield. Yeah, when it's happening. So all these considerations you have to put in place to be able to ensure proper optimization of your solar panels.
Okay, now I think in everything you've said, it's just clear that going with the right company is very key, because there are certain things to consider. There are certain things that must be put in place, because sometimes whoever that is up there doing it, you may not be there with them, so you don't really know what is going on. So this is where you need to get the professional hands to be able to do it, and I think that is where Zango Power comes in. Okay, so now that we've established that the solar panels or the solar energy system works with the rainy season, depending on what you do, depending on the optimization and all of that, could you please give us some of the safety precautions that we should take, especially when installing our solar panels during the rainy season?
Okay, when installing solar panels, definitely you have to make adequate consideration for whether rainy season or dry season. The first, which is for me the major consideration to make, is the structural integrity of wherever you are installing your solar panel. The structural integrity matters so much because there are certain let me say unforeseen situations that most engineers overlook when installing solar panels, especially when they're in open space.
Okay.
The strength of wind is something that if you don't have that engineering consideration when installing anything, that's why sometimes you just see some signboards blown away by wind.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of solar panels blown away from rooftops and from places where they have been installed. Why? Because structurally the configuration or the mounting mechanisms they use were not properly considered. The strength of the wind can be very, very powerful, especially depending on the areas where you are.
Okay.
And sometimes your solar panels, because you're looking for higher areas, the wind at the higher points is usually higher than at lower points.
Okay.
And these panels really need to be at the higher points so as to avoid shadows and shades from maybe nearby structures or nearby trees. So in that means that your clamps that you use to clamp them has to be very, very strong. Now, on the solar panels itself, most times from its design, the solar panel itself is strong enough to be able to stay firm, but it's the mounting mechanism that actually makes it either weak or not really very strong. Okay. So in that consideration, the first structural consideration you should make is the structural consideration. Okay. Now, if you're mounting on a flat roof, the effect of wind is a little bit less. But if you're mounting in an open space, for example, you are mounting on a carport, like a solar carport, the effect of wind is like double. Okay. So at that point, you have to make sure that every point is properly anchored. And the minimum anchor point for the solar panel should be 4 anchor points close to the edges, especially the longer edges, because they're usually rectangular in shape. Okay. If you're able to get that properly, your solar panel should be able to stand firm to withstand whether wind or rain. Secondly, the other consideration you need to have, this one has to do with the dry season, is possibility of cleaning the solar panels. Okay. Because during the dry season, you need to carry out several cleanings to make sure that the surface of the panel is not coated with dust. When it's coated with dust, the efficiency of the panel can drop to up to like 40 to 60%. In some cases, you could lose up to 70 to 80% efficiency of the panel, and that could be very serious. That's how powerful those dusts can be. So it needs to be accessible. That's why we don't really encourage people to take your panels off the roof if it's more than a bungalow, because during maintenance, it's going to suffer a lot of problems. If they are closer to the ground, cleaning is easier. It's a lot of risk taking the panels up for installation. Okay. It will not be necessary to follow the same risk when you're about to clean the panel, because the cleaning should come more often. Sometimes you might have to clean maybe once or twice in a month during the dry season, depending on the dust level in that environment. In some cases, maybe once or twice throughout the dry season, but in most cases, you can actually have to clean like once in a month.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Engineer Zogbala. I think from everything that you have said, it is clear that I wouldn't want to go spiritual or biblical, but I think it could be likened to that analogy in the Bible where it's like a lamp. If you cover it, it's not going to work. Exactly. Nobody's going to see it until you leave it, and then it's all there in the open. Shine, yeah. So you have to be very attentive right from the installation up to the usage. The work doesn't stop after the installation, because sometimes people will be like, oh, why is this thing not working? We just installed it the other day and it's not working. It's possible that the installation was wrong, or maybe something is happening. It's not getting as much sun as needed. So thank you so much, Engineer Zogbala from Zango Power. I don't know if you have any final thoughts on this, and then we wrap it up on the show to this evening.
Okay, I would say that for a lot of people, especially those who have not installed theirs yet, there are so many considerations you need to make when installing solar panels. Some people will prefer to wait to install their solar panels during the dry season, but I want to use this opportunity to advise people who want to install solar system the best time to install your solar system is actually during the rainy season. Why do I call it the best time? Wow. It's actually the best time because if you're not having enough yield, you should know right away, because this is like the lowest in terms of absorption of
true,
energy.
true, that's
If you
right.
install during the dry season, no matter how little your panel is, it will get energy, and
really
you will feel
know.
like everything is okay. And then when the rainy season comes, you find out that your solar system is failing repeatedly. In fact, you start saying that this is bad, something has gone wrong. No. From installation, the concentrations were not properly made, and you didn't find out because you were enjoying the heavy sun during the dry season. And now when the rainy season now comes, you find out that it's not working well, or it's not even working at all. So if you want to install a solar system, this is the right time, when it's actually raining, when the weather is cloudy. That's when you know whether your system can run 247 all year round.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate you from Zango Power for coming here to enlighten the masses on what they should know. Okay, for you diversify energy, but it's also important for you to do it right, because so much of money goes into this.
Yeah.
And I think if there is anything I've picked from here, our conversation, is the fact that you need to make your money work for you.
Of course.
After investing, how about making sure you do the right thing? So the efficiency of your solar systems here, or your solar energy here, is about your actions or your inactions. So what part are you choosing? I'm hoping that you get to do the right thing. And of course, if you need to install it right, and of course get the right systems, then you should be thinking Zango Power as well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, keep listening to Eagles FM Abuja, your number one radio experience.